what we discussed so far was politically correct enough to,
Yeah. Uh,
it's, yeah,
Okay. Welcome to Let's Be Frank. We're trying to think of a way to have a session that isn't doom and gloom. What topics
yeah.
aren't doom and gloom, Herman?
What topics aren't doom and gloom at the moment?
um,
It's a challenge.
yeah. So I can tell you about something. I started writing
Please do.
another book.
You started writing another book.
Yeah. So I feel like I get
Fantastic.
to about 2,000 words on all of them and then I give up. And what I'm realizing, and it's a bit like this podcast, is the process of writing is good for me. It's like therapy. I feel like I go through some of my past and some of the things I've been through and come to terms with them with a bit of perspective. And I feel like at the moment, none of what I've written is for anyone else's eyes.
Okay.
So I'm wondering if I'll ever get to a point where I go, okay, I'm comfortable with other people reading this or hearing me say this. Um, I would like to get to that point. But in the meantime, the process is therapeutic, cathartic. It feels like I'm letting go of a lot of past hurt and uh, acknowledging how happy I am now and how much
Okay.
I appreciate the person I've become because of things that I've been through. So I think that that's a good outcome of me trying to write a book, even if I never get there.
Well, that's fantastic. I mean, just in terms of how sure you are about the what it's doing for you. Um, so, can I not even ask what type of a book is this? What is the kind of main
I want
premise of the?
I want to write a fiction. I really do. And every time I sit down and start writing, it becomes about me. So selfish, so self-absorbed. But yeah, I tried to start writing a fiction and realized that I was writing about myself again. And then I just started writing kind of my story. Um, I don't know where to start with this. That's why I also brought this up earlier. You gave me your theme for the year a few weeks ago. You had a word that you had chosen as your word for 2024. I think it was truth. Is that right?
Truth,
Truth,
yeah.
yeah. And I've been trying to think of my word for the year, and I keep going around in circles and thinking of a word and then changing my mind and coming up with another word. And um, during my writing process, I came to the conclusion that a word that has been a theme throughout my life that I have recently felt like I've overcome and is no longer a word that is part of my life is guilt. And so that's kind of where the writing took me, was I was talking about all the times I felt guilt and guilty uh, from a young age to a young teenager to a young adult, like all the times that guilt has been such a big theme in my life. And so trying to write through that, and
Okay.
yeah, feel like I don't feel guilty anymore. Although I did say to you just before we started recording that I feel a bit guilty that I haven't figured out how to vote in the next South African elections.
Yeah.
So yeah, guilt is still there. But
Okay.
yeah, it's not such a big thing for me anymore. Where I feel like it used to be an overarching feeling. I was always guilty of something.
Sure. Aren't we
Yeah.
all on some level
Yeah.
guilty? Yeah. So I don't know. So so you say you start out as I'm writing fiction. So you've got this fictional character,
Yeah.
and then you start writing, and then before long
Yeah, I'm
Ali
writing
just
about
kind of
myself.
fights
And
away
I just take
into
over.
the story. Hang on, what about me?
Yeah.
Um, I wonder how many fictional stories have an element of that, of
Yeah.
the author kind of leaning on their own experiences, etc.
Yes. And I think one of the conclusions I've come to is that when I do finally write a book that I'm comfortable sharing with the world, it probably will be a fiction because it's easier to talk about, publicly talk about someone who isn't real or someone else,
Yeah,
even if it is me. I don't know.
yeah, you're 100% correct. I mean, there's obviously a whole host of things I think that can can help uh, telling the story when it's fiction, where you don't
Mm-hmm.
have to be too concerned about. Whereas if it's kind of like a factual thing, you
Yeah.
have to check dates very carefully. You have to check that.
Let people know
Um,
that the whole world is going to know something about them and they might not be
yeah,
comfortable with
yeah,
it. Yeah.
yeah. But then, what are some of the complexities that come in with writing fiction?
Um, it has to be super entertaining. And then, so this is the other thing is I think my life is extremely entertaining, but I don't know if other people would find my life as entertaining as I do.
And how will you know?
Yeah, I suppose you wouldn't.
No, you won't know.
Yeah.
And until or unless you
Yeah.
share some of it with a wider audience. I think
Yeah.
that's one of the challenges that fiction writers sit with is kind of like developing the character. Um, and I've heard in the past when I've heard conversations with fictional writers is that some of them kind of have this thing planned very carefully, right down to the ending,
Yeah.
and others have a slightly different process where they start off and it will just kind of meander along and introduce other characters as the story develops and then end up in a place which may or may not have been where they thought it was going.
Yeah.
So when you kind of sit down, because I've never tried to write something, so I may ask some silly questions here, but you kind of have like an outline or some bullet points.
Yeah.
So the story is going to start here. These are the main characters, and then this is where it's going to end.
Mm, a combination of the two. So I
Okay.
definitely had a few ideas for chapters and stories that I wanted to tell in those chapters. And I might do a little bit of a plug for a friend's web app now because when she heard our second or third podcast, whenever I first spoke about writing a book, she reached out to me and said she'd created this product, which is to help people write books.
Okay.
And so this was months ago, and she said, I'd love you to try it when you're writing your book. And I said, yeah, sure, I'll try it. And then I forgot all about it. and then when I started this one, I thought, okay, I should probably try this program that she told me about. And it's really cool. So I should have tried it ages ago. It's a really nice way to plan out and write a book. You can there's a space to create your characters and put little notes on each of your characters, the scenes, and there's like an outline. You can drag and change chapters, so you have your outline and these are my chapters, and then you can go, oh, actually that
Oh,
chapter fits
wow.
better there. And then there's the manuscript view where it shows it laid out like a book, and you type in there and it tells you how many words you've typed and how many you can have like a challenge. You want to do 1,000 words a day, and there's a little thing that checks that you're writing 1,000 words a day. So it's called First Draft Pro, and it's web only. I did try to get it on my phone and I couldn't. But
Yeah.
yeah, really nice little system. Free, so you can do 3 projects for free. And then there's an option to upgrade, which also then allows you to, I think, share the projects with your editors or people that you want to share it with, and they
Okay.
can make notes. And but yeah, at the moment I'm just trying the
Wow.
free version. So yeah, the outline I wrote, I put a couple of chapters in, and then as I was writing in some of those chapters, I had an idea for another chapter. Then you just go back to the outline, add another chapter, and then you can drop it in where you want it. Um, so yeah, it's a nice little layout, a nice way of
That
writing
sounds,
a book, I
yeah,
think.
it sounds very nice because I can think that you have to have lots and lots of notes um, as you're kind of developing this and as you um, progress and your story or your characters develop.
Yeah,
That's also always something that fascinates me is that process and what the organization of that looks like. So
mm-hmm.
this seems like a really cool way to help you organize and keep everything um, neat and tidy and easy to reference
Yeah,
without kind of going to a separate book or separate document or
yeah.
application. Yeah, okay,
Yeah, no, it
cool.
looks really good. Looks like a nice way of doing it, and they've set it up really nicely. I followed her on LinkedIn, and it's a girl I went to school with, and I saw when she was promoting it, and I thought it looked like a cool idea. I'd heard about it before she reached out to me, um, and the way that you're kind of onboarding, they've set up
Hmm.
Alice in Wonderland as a story with its
Oh,
outline, with its
nice.
characters, so you can kind of see how everything goes together so that you understand how it
Yeah.
works. But yeah, it's really nice. Very good little system.
Okay. And then another question is, how has your reading experience over the last year helped you in terms of how you approached this writing exercise?
I've read so many different books and I'm trying to figure out what I like about them. And um, so actually, the book I'm reading at the moment, All the Light We Cannot See, Anthony Doerr. Um, what I really appreciate about it is the chapters are really short and sweet, and well, I wouldn't say sweet all the time, but really short and to the point, and um, it jumps around quite a bit, which I like. So because I think at the moment I'm still in the first kind of quarter of the book, so it's still setting up all the characters. So you'll have like a page or two about the one character, and then a page or two about the other character, and they're living separate lives. And I think that's what it's trying to show, is their two different perspectives until at some point they're going to come together. Um, so I like the short chapters, but it's also just because of my style of reading is I want to read at least one chapter a day. So it makes it really easy
Yeah,
to achieve that goal and go beyond it because I know, oh, it'll only be another 1 or 2 pages if I read another chapter. I don't have to
sure.
stop in the middle because I have to go answer an email or something.
Yeah.
um, and I'm trying to think what else. So I definitely always like a. Do you need your dog's going crazy?
It's because his mommy just arrived
uh,
home. So it's gonna be a 30 seconds. I'll just mute.
um, the other thing.
That should also help. Sorry.
Okay. Uh, the other thing that I like. I'm trying to think. So I really like the biographies, and maybe that's why I keep going back to writing about myself. But all the biographies I've read have been famous people. I'm like, why would anyone care about my background when I haven't done anything spectacular or worth writing about? I don't know.
So isn't that a way to think about it? Is that all a lot of the fictional characters that you read, it's
Mm-hmm.
just a it's just a biography of not a real person.
Yeah.
Just like just like very similar in a way
Yeah.
to kind of attacking a biography of some famous person.
Yeah. Well, it's like you said. I mean, you introduced me to the higher ground novels, the Doug Caseys, and those are fictional characters. But as you say, you feel like they're real characters in the big ski, like in the way that they're written and what's
Yeah,
happening in the world. You feel like they could be real people. I suppose that's the point of books: is you're supposed to feel like they're real people.
correct.
Yeah.
There are so many of them. I think the so so obviously the more real it is, maybe the more believable it is. Unless I suppose you go completely sci-fi or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, you know, but like your spy novels and those kind of things, the those type of genres, you know, the fact that there are people like that out there, mm, maybe maybe there are smaller little details that yeah okay cool. Um, nobody is that good a driver, or nobody is a pilot, and whatever else, but it resembles real life a lot better. But what do you think that nobody would be interested in your story? Because if we pick up a book and we read, we don't read a book because we have a particular outcome in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that one of the things? If you pick up a fictional book, is you specifically do not read the last page first.
Yeah.
You read kind of like the I don't know, the whatever, the jacket, the short description and jacket, and go, oh, okay, cool. This sounds like something I can, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but then you allow these characters and what their lives are about, etc., to develop through the story. So isn't that the real kind of magic?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't disagree.
Mm.
What do you think you would write about?
I honestly don't know because I'm trying to think even when the last fictional book that I read, oh well, it was obviously um, the the Doug Casey ones. But prior to that, I think it must have been at least, I don't know, 10, 15 years. So I haven't read fiction. It doesn't really
Mm-hmm.
grab me that much anymore. So I can't even tell you which of the um, more popular recent authors. Anyway, so you may ask, well, what the hell does that have to do with what you would write? Absolutely nothing. But um,
Do you think you
I,
would write a self help book?
no, I would write an anti-self-help book. That's how over self-help books I am. No, look, there's definitely some books that I found some value from, and even authors or people that fall into that category, I still have a lot of respect for and so on. But there was definitely a whole bunch of self-help books that should never have been written. my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know, and it bugs me that it really annoys the shit out of me that I don't know what I would write a book about. Because I've always felt that maybe there is a book inside me.
More than one, I'm sure. What about golf?
Nah, I don't know. I always thought that there was maybe something that more of a documentary type of thing
Mm-hmm.
in terms of um, I don't know what it would look like. There's like all these little golf courses with lots of history and characters, etc., etc. And that would be great to document in
Yeah.
some way. But then the research of finding all of these people and the time and then visiting them and so on and so forth. So,
Yeah.
but that's the type of thing that I think I would really enjoy. But I don't know, fiction wise, I don't think, maybe I must give it a go. Because it just feels like, okay, cool, you don't have the skills,
Yeah.
which I suppose nobody really starts off with the skill set. Um, I don't know, I'll put it on my list and maybe give it a try.
Well, I also know that you've always been more interested in writing songs than writing books. So here's a
Yeah,
question.
true.
Have you written any songs?
I have. Actually, yeah, I wrote a couple. I wrote a couple, and I've got some stuff that's still here somewhere in the notes that are not complete.
Do you share them
Um,
with anyone?
no, no, I did one or two with
Yeah.
at the time, when I was still actively playing guitar and so on. But now
Mm-hmm.
I pick up a guitar once every 3 months, and noodle a
Yeah.
bit. But funny enough, if I do pick up a guitar, one of the first things that I play is an unfinished song that I
Okay.
started writing.
Eh,
Um, and it just sits there and it feels like, okay, cool, this thing wants to, I don't know, it wants to be finished.
yeah. So I'm curious about that. How many people in the world have created masterpieces and not shared them for fear of. Because I
Oh,
also have a friend who wrote a fiction years ago, and I mean, he had hundreds of thousands of words. Like it was, I'm pretty sure it has been finished for many years. And myself and another friend of his kept asking, please let us read it, please let us read it. And he's always like, no, it's not perfect yet, it's not perfect yet. And I just wonder, it's probably a great story, and he's keeping
mm.
it to himself because he doesn't feel like it's finished yet. Or
Yeah, you're true. It is so
mm,
true what you say there in terms of people. People have these wonderful creative pieces. I think the same thing goes with visual arts. I mean, there must be so many beautiful paintings
mm-hmm.
that is just stacked against the wall um, that artists create, um, but for some reason they're not happy with it and therefore feel that nobody else should enjoy it.
Yeah,
And I think that there's a lot of that in music as well, where artists hate very popular songs
mm-hmm.
for whatever reason, they don't want to perform them anymore and they
Yeah,
doesn't really resonate with them, but millions of people do like them. Okay, cool. That's something to think about because I actually I started. I didn't complete. James Altucher had a course on writing
mm-hmm.
on Coursera last year. I started that because I liked the premise of it because he
Yeah,
said it was a typical James Altucher thing about uh, write and self-publish a book in a week or something
mm-hmm.
like that. And I thought, okay, cool, this is something I can get behind. That's the kind of time
Yeah,
frame. If you talk to me about the 10-year novel, then I don't. Anyway, um, there were some interesting things um, that he shared, and I there was a specific reason. Something happened that kind of took my focus away from that. Um, so maybe that's still there, and I can. But I can go through my songwriting notes as well because I did a course on that as well.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
You're gonna have to write our next jingle.
And and it is interesting the kind of tips and tricks in terms of okay, cool, so obviously for songs, rhyme is very important, and have these rhyming dictionaries and that sort of thing, and kind of all the different steps and processes that you can go through. So it is quite interesting. I always like the idea of being able to tell a story with as few as possible words.
Mm-hmm.
There's an account on X that you must follow. It's let me just quickly check what it's called.
Cool.
I think it's called Agatha Chocolates. So it's Agatha and then CHOCOLATS.
Mm-hmm.
So Agatha Chocolates is an account that posts it's a mystery author and then posts these photos, and then you must, in 6 words or fewer, write a story
Okay.
about this photo.
I like things
The
like that.
six
Yeah.
words, or and they're the most random
Yeah.
pictures. And anyway, they're quite. So I've always enjoyed that about songwriting. This is how do you convey a message or tell a story
Yeah.
in 3 verses and a chorus or something like that. Actually, very few words. So
Maybe I should try write a song. I don't have
maybe you
any
should.
musical ability, but
Maybe your character in your fictional story will write a song as well.
maybe. Um, she does seem to do a lot of the things I do. um, so one thing that I just want to say is another thing that's changed a lot in my life. We're talking about the themes earlier. Is I used to be quite a perfectionist, and I didn't like
Mm-hmm.
anything to be made public until it was absolutely perfect. And that has changed a lot, maybe through my career as well as we used to talk about done is better than perfect. Because done gives you a chance for feedback and then you
Yeah,
can improve. Where what you deem as perfect might not actually be perfect. So you spend all this time and energy trying to make something perfect, and then other people still have feedback on it, and it's not perfect. So we
yeah,
did it with this podcast. I mean, we know it's not perfect, but we decided to just start putting it out there because why not? And I think that
yeah.
that's also been a good learning experience for me. Is just do something and then see where it goes.
Yes, do something and have fun with it
Yeah,
and see where it goes and learn from it.
yeah,
I think that's so important. We get so caught up in that thing about, oh, it must be perfect or it must be right, or maybe I must just spend a little bit more time on it.
yeah.
It's a waste. So please continue writing your. See if you
2,000
can get
words
to
of many books.
3,000 words.
Yeah,
So
I
don't
will
you?
find.
So do you still have all of those 2,000
Yes.
word bits?
Yeah,
Okay.
maybe I can throw them all together and do a mishmash. All the things I've ever written about. A little snippet into my life.
Hmm. I wonder if that ever happens where people actually go and take characters from a
Yeah.
piece that they wrote and feel like, you know what, maybe there's an opportunity for this character to come and live here.
Yeah. Hmm. I'm gonna play around a bit more in First Draft Pro and see where I get to and if I'm ever comfortable sharing what I write with anybody.
I like it. I like
Cool.
it.
Well, thanks, Herman.
Thanks, Ali.
Keep writing.
Yeah, keep writing.